Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hypecast mit Tom Reimann und David Bell.
All right, well, hey everyone.
Hi.
This is this week's episode of Hypecast. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm David Bell.
I'm Tom Ryman, and we have two guests today. We have Cody Johnston.
Hello.
And we have Star Hodge.
Hello.
Hey, Star.
Hi.
Yeah. So yeah, we're still don't really have a format for this show, but generally we've been
great. I love it.
Yeah. Let's just
we just start with trailers. Yeah, we have no format.
And go from there.
Yeah, but we have just been starting with trailers. So the first trailer that we have, I think, is Fahrenheit 451, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan and fucking Michael Shannon.
Double
Yeah.
Michaels.
Michael Shannon.
Was this made before Black Panther?
I think it probably must have been.
Because I was like, he looks like sweeter and like smaller.
I mean,
Right, like he hadn't bulked up yet.
Yeah,
for
he
it.
doesn't. He doesn't look like he doesn't look like Killmonger.
Right.
I'm going to say yes because I've seen production stills for this for a while. I think there's been some reason this has been taking a while because I heard about this like years ago.
Yeah, a few years
Okay.
ago.
Yeah. And Marvel movies are usually on a pretty steady clip.
Yeah.
Just like, no, this is when you
Yeah,
make it,
yeah.
and this is when it comes out, and there's
Yeah.
nothing you can do about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You got about 5 months to make this movie.
Right. It's
Make an
supposed to-
entire film.
Is it Netflix Fahrenheit 451?
HBO.
Oh, okay.
Which
then
is
even that would be
strange.
like, okay, you're going to take your time and make a good
Oh,
film.
that's
Right,
gonna
yeah.
be weird if there's a. Is it a movie or a series?
It's a movie.
Okay, because I'm saying if they made like a series and there was more episodes, and that would be a distinct difference in
Yeah,
look and
you'd-
appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that'd be
He
that'd
just
be,
like it bolts up and down.
Yeah, it's
throughout the
like
entire
why
film.
is I was like why did he? Wow, he got real big.
he looks like a cartoon man breathing in and out.
Why do you have scars on his body this episode?
They're like, yeah, we can't remove those.
They've been threatening to make this movie. Like Mel Gibson was going to make this movie.
Yeah, I remember that.
for the longest
Oh,
time.
that's right.
He really
wanted to make this movie. He really wanted to be.
He wanted to be in it.
Yeah, he wanted to be Guy Montag.
Yeah, and then also directed, I assume, and write it. And,
Yeah. It was going to be through like Icon,
Yeah.
which
And
is
it
a
takes
production
place
company.
now or in the
Near future.
distant
Near future,
in
yeah.
like the 15 minutes from now kind of thing.
How does
Yeah.
that work with the internet?
I don't know. I assume they'll address it in the adaptation.
Yeah,
I guess, yeah.
It could be really good, but it could also. It's such a stupid, simple premise.
It
to
is
me.
like it's
It's baseline dystopian where it's like, what if we
outlawed
It's
thought.
the most simple, like, watching
Right.
the trailer, because we all read it in high school and stuff, and
Yeah.
like, back then I was like, okay, this is okay, this is good.
It's
all
fine.
It
Yeah.
makes
It's
you
fine.
think a little bit, I guess.
I
But,
can
like-
see how this would blow people's minds in the 50s.
Right, but like watching the trailer and it's 2018 and they're like, we're gonna burn all the books. It's like, this is the silliest thing I've ever seen in my life. It
It's
sounds
like,
so
everything's
silly.
digitized now. Somebody's gonna have a hard drive or several hard drives of books.
Books and just like writing. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you need to read.
And also it's just like I get it because like we had just come out of World War II, and the Nazis. I don't know if you guys know this.
Nazis, huh?
Famously burned books.
Mm.
There's a day they did it.
Kind of, I get it coming, because the book it was published in the early 50s, so it's like we just came out of a sort of fascist we just came out of a fascist,
Very clearly fascist.
clearly fascist regime that tried to conquer the planet.
Ah, yes.
And
fascism.
one of the ways they did that was by erasing knowledge.
Yeah.
But like now, like I don't know. It just there's something that seems cheesy about like somebody like burning a copy of fucking Huckleberry Finn,
right?
Yeah.
and it being like, no, the world's knowledge. I'm like, no, it's just Huck Finn. Like,
And also, like, there are digitized copies of that.
yeah,
Other places.
it's a pretty good
If
movie
it was
with
one
Elijah
copy,
Wood.
I got a hard
That's
drive of
like-
Huck Finn. Like,
It still seems lazy for it was written after the Nazis burned books.
Yeah.
And so the Nazis burned books, and then someone came out and was like, "Hey guys, I got an idea. What if people burned books?" And it's like, yeah, that just happened.
That happened.
Like it's like making a like after like 9/11, then being like, I got this idea for a movie. All these planes come in and hit all these buildings. It's like,
right.
that's not original. You just took a thing that happened and then
But like you
Right,
twist it
just
into like,
repeated
And
it.
like saying it's bad too. Where It's
Yeah.
like, you know when like the Nazis burned the books and everyone was like, that's bad, we should fight the Nazis. And then I got this idea where like they do that, but then everyone's like it's bad.
it's bad.
I assume they're just gonna have to show more than the book burning part. Like, oh, like this is our whole new government. Like, kind of Handmaid's Tale.
Well, yeah, and there's like a it's thought programming too, because in the story it starts with his wife attempting suicide and she gets taken to the hospital. She's overdosed on pills, and she comes back the next day having been through the hospital and also therapy. She doesn't even remember that she attempted suicide. She thinks she got too drunk at a party.
Oh.
That's
Like-
unhealthy.
Yeah. So there's this aspect of where they condition thoughts and feelings and how you're supposed to behave. So I mean, we got this movie already. It was called Equilibrium. It's Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Also,
It's almost
And
identical.
that had
Yeah.
the gun food.
It had the gun kata in it. Yeah,
Gun
Gun
kata,
kata,
from the
yeah.
early 2000s gun kata.
It needs to be also like just information and knowledge destroying. Like I think that's what really like made it seem silly to me.
Yeah.
Is they kept saying like books are bad. Like these evil books are gonna burn them. Like, no, it's like knowledge and
Yeah.
like stories.
They
and
have
stuff.
one
Like,
line
you need
about, oh, the old internet is gone. It's just like, okay, well, how'd you do that?
and what's
'Cause
the new internet?
is there new internet? Is this like a North Korea situation? I think that's what I was like, you did this with Handmaids already. Like,
Yeah.
Handmaids
Yeah.
did a really good job about showing how you could systematically kind of reformat a thing into a very hyper-conservative, nobody's reading
Yeah.
kind of thing, and everything else is also scary. So I'm kind of like, all right, you're doing it.
Yeah, it's just one of those like, why now?
Yeah, it
things.
seems like a weird. I mean, they've been threatening to make an updated version of this movie for so long.
Yeah.
Like we talked about, Mel Gibson was threatening to make it throughout the 90s. And I think the first adaptation of it, Ray Bradbury famously changed the ending to his story, I think, because he liked what they did in the adaptation so much. But yeah, like why now?
Why
Like,
now?
it's like
And
I think just because it's it was probably greenlit around the Hunger Games. It was like
they wanted a dystopian thing.
They're
Yeah.
trying to do 1984, but as a more young adult romance thing as well. Like,
well,
I think,
yeah, and it has a
oh
little.
yeah,
Oh,
well
really?
I think that was killed. I don't
Oh,
know
okay.
because it
I
was
gonna
again
say,
around
I'm
the
like,
Hunger
what?
Games. It was all these producers like, what other dystopian
Right.
things?
The
And
Giver.
Yeah, The Giver.
Right, yeah, the giver, and then that's why they did.
And that's how you got like the
Yeah.
Insurgent series and all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they realized for some reason they wanted to make them all sexy and like for kids, and it was just like that's a weird instinct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't make things sexy for kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and dystopian.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and like the cast is amazing,
It's a
and
good
like
cast,
I don't
yeah.
know the filmmaker, but like I would rather they all make a thing that's not Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah,
But you
Just
know
make a
what
new
though?
thing,
When they
like-
were doing that with making dystopian sexy for kids is when the world seemed a little bit more hopeful in general. Like, oh, we're not going to go into a dystopian, so let's have fun with dystopia.
Yeah, let's do the fancy.
And now it's like a
and
little
now
too
it's just
grim.
like, oh no, this feels
Oh,
a
this could
little
happen.
too-
This is gonna happen.
well, yeah, that's I've heard a few people talk about because it's all the anti-NRA students and was it Parkland?
Parkland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen people point out like these kids were raised on like Hunger Games and Harry Potter. You didn't think they were gonna be pissed off when you
Right.
like elect an ogre into office and like
Right.
have the NRA like do these town halls. Like
Have
it's
a
just
have a fucking
like
government it's a senator or congressman saying it's like I'm gonna shoot down every bit of legislation that would give whatever it was, like Hertz Rent-A-Car or something,
Oh,
a
yeah,
break,
that's right.
and or United or something, some
I
transportation
think it's
company.
United. Yeah.
I'll shoot down any legislation that gives them a break until they reinstate their discount for NRA members. So like, A, that's illegal.
Yeah.
So I guess
So we have fucking ogres in the government right now.
So like, as silly as it seems like to take a dystopian plot and then like let's make it fun and like available for everybody, it's like, well, shit, it's still taking like an important message, I guess, like something that normally wouldn't be a mainstream film.
Yeah, it's
like
I mean, I don't know,
But it kind of removes the seriousness of those situations. Like, I would hate for a 1984 movie to be like a romantic teen thing, because no, it's supposed to be this
1984
like
did have romance in it, didn't it? It was
sort of.
It was bleak.
Yeah.
It's very bleak, and it ends very bleak, which is
the movie
why I think they decided to go with Fahrenheit 451, which has more of a hopeful ending.
Yeah, when I see a lot of those comparisons of like, this is just like Harry Potter. Like if Trunchbull had a gun, like kids would be dead and stuff. It's like, well, that cheapens the reality of it too.
Yeah.
Like,
Sorry,
the world is the way it is, and people are gonna die, and like it's very real. Let's not just like relate things to Harry Potter because it's easy.
It feels like we've talked a lot about this one dystopian technology world. We should talk about the next trailer about
dystopian technology. Kirk Cameron's documentary. What's it called?
Connect.
I wish it was coming from a psychologist or some type of like doctor,
somebody with like credentials.
Yeah. Like, I understand concerned
thought.
dad worried about his kids being on the internet. Like, that in itself, there's nothing wrong with that. But the way he goes about it is real heebie-jeebie.
Yeah, the problem
Kirk
is
Cameron can't go about anything without being a weird maniac.
Yeah.
He needs to be a producer or something where he needs to have enough awareness to be like, I'm concerned about this. I need to find someone who will actually have credibility and make other people concerned. Because like the documentary, the interviews even feel coached. Like the people in the interviews, and the thing is I'm not against exploring. Like for people who don't know, the Connect it's just about social media and what it does to kids and stuff like that.
It's a good idea for an important topic that we should all learn about.
Maybe not for Kirk Cameron to tackle.
Yeah, right. And the problem is that for him, he's like, I know the problem. The devil.
There's no God.
He fights a literal devil in the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer is amazing. It's 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes of him being in the world as a human being, talking to other human beings in the real world. And then at the very end, it cuts to him with a beard and an eye patch fighting a literal demon in hell. And then the trailer's over.
and then he gets out. He's like, all right, see the movie?
Yeah.
And
it's insane.
It's so nuts. But also, like, there's something about him that... Because, like, he's, like, allegedly an actor, right?
Yeah.
And he's a child actor, and he's, like, he's an actor. That's what he does. And the intro where he's talking about his kids, and he's talking about technology, it's so...
It felt like the beginning of a reality TV show.
It doesn't feel earnest at all.
No.
He like, the way he speaks... is clear, like that faux earnest way, and it's like, you're an actor, you seem so full of shit right now.
Yeah.
It's really tough because I believe that he believes in what he's saying.
Absolutely.
He's just really bad at convincing people.
If I didn't know who he was or what he believed in, I would watch this and go, this guy's full of shit. Why am I listening to him? He doesn't believe this.
You'd be watching it being like, is this guy doing a bit?
Right.
Yeah.
Why is he talking like this? Like he really cares about you, but he doesn't.
And then he fights a
demon.
Yeah. He talks to everybody how kindergarten teachers talk to their students.
Right.
It's that weird, like, I know things, I'm an adult, and we're going to talk about things, and I don't think he knows how to turn that off.
Right.
Because
he's not an earnest man.
I don't think he talks to adults very often.
Maybe
I think he
not.
just talks to his family.
Yeah.
And other people in his church, I assume, who might talk the same way.
Right, he probably talks the same way in that community.
So it's kind of... The thing is, like, even the church aspect doesn't bother me as much in the sense of, like, okay, like, yeah, maybe some teenagers need to be part of a community where they have support, so you're not just focused on stuff that's on the internet. All these are fine.
Yeah.
Just have more people talking about it. Like, there's definitely science around it. Like, this is such a really big and broad subject where you could have a lot of professionals talking about it and how to help kids not, like, devote their lives to, like, social media. Or learning how to, like, this is the world now. How do you navigate in it? I don't think Kirk Cameron has the answers.
No.
I know this is
I agree. He does not.
I know this is a podcast, so visuals aren't great. Anybody should Google Kirk Cameron birthday picture.
Oh,
it's my favorite thing. It's him in his office, and he like posted a picture like it's my birthday, and it's like just. Who's
the sad woman in the background?
I don't know.
It's 3 people. It's clearly an office. It's.
Only 2 people are in the room.
Yeah.
One person is in the hallway looking at it.
Yeah, and one of those people is Kirk Cameron. And everybody looks like they don't want to be there.
Everybody looks
like
very
a bunch of
sad.
Subway sandwiches.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of Subway sandwiches. It's Kirk Cameron basically on like a Monday morning or something. Like, it's my birthday, we're having a party, and like no one knew. And
right, it's like, no, you're not. You're
like,
not.
If I had to guess the conclusion of that movie, he's just going to be like, don't let your kids on the internet. Like, I feel like that's what he's just going to say, and you're going to be like, that's not
the solution.
It's not helpful at all, and it's also, it's not a feasible solution.
That's also not going to help you bond with your children. They're just going to have accounts and not tell you.
Yeah, they're going to do the thing you show in the trailer where they're under the covers looking at their phone.
Yeah.
And then they're going to fight a literal demon.
Yeah. But church,
like
community, all that stuff, like, that's how addiction is helps. Like, Rat City. Is it Rat City or Mouse City?
Rat City,
Rat
right?
City? Yeah.
With the rats. I think it's rats.
Yeah, the Rat City.
The abstract concept of what the devil is, I'm starting to get with religion. Because they're basically they're talking about the part in your brain that allows you to like give in to bad thoughts and desires and stuff. And like this is about more religious stuff in general. It's just like, wish they didn't. Like, I like the concept of the devil in a figure of speech, but they always get so goddamn literal, and I can't.
I understand.
I can never, like, if they were like, that's just the devil and telling you to do stuff.
Right.
It's like a figure of speech.
The devil on your shoulder telling you to do the bad thing.
He's fighting a literal goddamn devil.
Right. He teleports into hell and fights a fucking demon.
And it's like, I don't need to think there's an actual devil to understand
people shouldn't
that impulse that makes us do bad things.
Right, I know that I'm shitty enough on my own. I don't need an actual monster to
human
blame.
Nature and consciousness doesn't need a hooved character.
Right. I mean, sure. It makes me feel better to be like, oh, it's not because I'm an asshole that I do these things. It's because there's a fucking demon man that makes me do them.
I will say, like, I appreciate, because of that stuff, I appreciate when people have their takes on that. They're like, let's just write a story about the devil and how, like, he's just hanging out. And I'm just like, that's fun. Because
that's a fun use of the devil.
That's a fun use of the devil, and I'm glad you're able to do, like, the Lucifer show. It's one of my guilty pleasures.
Sure.
It's
Lucifer the comic is amazing.
Yeah, like, stuff like that where I'm like, yeah, let's make these things literal in this world, and we'll go with the story for that. And that's
damn
fun.
Yankees. What a fun romp.
What also
Americana.
What baffles me is religious. It's weird that of all the things that managed to make the devil seem scary to me, like a literal devil, it's never like Kirk Cameron or religious. It's always a horror movie. Horror movies are great at making the devil scary.
Yeah.
The Omen, The Witch,
The Exorcist. Like, why can't? And I know there are religious groups, like there are like interviews with random like priests and stuff in the Vatican talking about how The Exorcist is like a great religious movie and stuff like that. But for the most part, like, Kirk Cameron, he just needs to hire some of these fucking people.
Right.
Have William Friedkin make your movie.
Yeah. He's like, he's a child actor, and he's an actor, and he is very, like, I think the final scene in that trailer is, like, points to why, because in those horror movies you have the devil and it's like the villain, and it's like it's usually a metaphor for something, and like it gets to a dark place, whereas to him it's just like a vague monster for him to vanquish.
Right.
It's why he's got the beard and the grizzled look, and he's got the eye patch. He's the hero. So like that whole scene of him fighting the devil is about him being the hero fighting the devil, as opposed to the devil and what it can do to you.
Right.
You know?
And I'm sure there's a level here where he also thinks he's being funny to an extent.
Oh, yeah.
It's just...
Is he, though?
I don't know.
He says that was a little over the top after that.
Exactly.
It's like he knows, but it's like, no, if you know,
I think he generally thought that was real cool.
Like,
and then someone probably told him, they're like, that's a little much, right? And he's like, I guess I'll just say that.
I'll hang on.
I'll just say the thing that I'm doing, and then it'll make it okay. Because that's how movies
Right, it happens like, well, I shouldn't have done that. Moving on.
I don't want to be mean to Kirk Cameron he's never hurt me, but like I don't think he's just not very good.
I would say I had to watch the Left Behind movie when I was younger because I have family members that are religious, and it was like, we're watching a movie, and I was like, I guess we're hanging out.
There are a lot of books.
I watched like the first one. I just remember afterward just feeling just miserable because I was in that phase of like, do I still believe in religion? Kinda, because I'm at like 13, so it's like right at that point of like, is this bullshit or is this not bullshit? I kind of don't want to believe it's bullshit because that's scary. So watching that, I was just like, I just feel like a bad person. This doesn't make me. This doesn't make me feel like, oh, I'm going to be saved or I'm going to be. Because I was just like, I know I'm not doing anything bad, but this movie is still implying that I'm a bad person because I'm not doing the things in that movie.
Right.
I don't want to do those things because those things also make me feel bad. So I was just so confused and I was like, I don't feel good.
Way to go, Kirk.
So that's why I'm not a fan of Kirk, because he made me feel like just confused and sad.
With this terrible movie.
Yeah.
I did not watch the rest of them. They were really on. Do you want to watch the rest of them? Like,
they remade it with Nicolas Cage.
The Nicolas Cage one is pretty special. It's not.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's
Wait,
not.
Was Knowing a remake of Left Behind, or is it literally just called
Left Behind? It's literally Left Behind.
The poster is glorious.
I might watch that version.
I was actually disappointed by it. I went and saw it opening night with like Robert Evans and a bunch of people, and it was a little bit of a bummer because we go to the theater and like Robert Evans and that group were ready to mock it, but then there's people who are just legitimately want to see Left Behind, and it's like, this seems toxic, and like the movie's bad, but it wasn't so bad that I enjoyed it. So there was a certain point where I'm just like, okay, I'm just watching a bad movie.
I can't force myself to be excited about this.
Yeah,
it drive from this experience.
It should have been worse and funnier than it was, but they really tried. But then again, maybe seeing it a second time, again, it was like a weird situation.
And if you weren't around all those people, maybe you feel more comfortable about thinking it was awful.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, everybody go see it.
All right.
Yeah, I want to segue, and this is kind of skipping ahead in our doc here.
Sure.
There was another religious thing, which has to do with Kevin Smith had a heart attack. A massive, they called it a widowmaker. Like, it was 100% blockage. And
oh my god.
Yeah. What happened is he was recording like a stand-up or, the Evening with Kevin Smith type thing.
Yeah.
And he started feeling nauseous after the first, like he had 2 shows.
Yeah.
After the first show, and he started throwing up, and then he was feeling like a little lightheaded, so he was like, I should probably go to the hospital. And what the doctors told him is if he hadn't done that, he would have been dead. We would have lost him.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
In the middle of the show, probably, right?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
It's like 100% blockage of one of his arteries.
And he took a selfie. He's apparently fine. He's been doing a lot of stuff for his health anyway, so I'm sure.
Yeah.
It seems.
Yeah, he's lost a lot of weight.
Were people upset that he took a selfie? Is that what was the issue?
What happened?
I'm like, I would take a selfie.
The Chris.
The Chris Evans thing, which really bugs me because first of all,
Pratt, right?
Chris
Pratt.
Chris Pratt just like sent him a tweet that was like, "We're praying for you," and then apparently a bunch of people replied on his Twitter like making fun of or mocking the fact that he was saying thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
And then James Gunn pointed it out.
Yeah, that's the...
James Gunn pointed it out.
Yeah, it's very obviously different.
That's very different.
Here's the thing that bugs me about it. It is very different. Because Chris Pratt can't do anything. The politicians, when they say thoughts and prayers, it's like, well,
it's thoughts and prayers.
You are literally in power.
Followed by...
into power.
Followed by inaction.
Yeah, the problem I'm having is James Gunn pointed it out. And then the news is being like, James Gunn defends thoughts and prayers, and it's becoming this whole story. And what I think of is like, people are jerks on Twitter all the time. So this, like, can we get back to talking about Kevin Smith? Like, is he doing all right? Because it feels like a non-story, because it's like like James Gunn getting frustrated at Twitter comments. I get that. I understand it. But it's like getting mad at YouTube comments where it's like everybody's going to say some sort of bullshit. Especially when someone famous tweets something.
Also like the news aspect of it is weird.
Yeah.
Like I understand, okay, you're going to make a thread pointing out this obvious difference that like anyone can look and go, yeah, obviously those are different situations.
Yeah.
But like making it the news, it's like this just in, idiots said stuff and director said nah.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah, man.
Like, that's,
and it's becoming like political. People are like, oh yeah, liberals, they always attack like, you know, the thoughts and prayers thing, and all. It's becoming like weird and political.
So disingenuous.
And it's just like,
the thoughts and prayers are literally only a problem when it's coming from politicians that can do something about
and
the
then
situation.
And then don't.
Yeah.
If anybody else is saying, "Oh man, I feel really bad," they're, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, you're my thoughts. You're my prayers.
Then that's fine. No one's upset about
this.
Right, because you can't do anything else. Like,
right.
what do you expect
and like
Chris Pratt to do for Kevin
Chris
Smith?
Pratt's not going to pay for his medical bills.
Right.
Kevin Smith can pay for his medical bills.
Yeah. It's just saying, like, hey, buddy, I'm glad you're still around. I'm thinking about you.
Yeah,
it's just nice to say.
Right. If a poor kid that wasn't famous got really sick and Chris Pratt was like, thoughts and prayers are with you, man, and that was it, be like, well, help him out.
Give him some of that Guardians money.
Yeah, don't say something like a tweet and then like, fuck off.
Right.
But like, Kevin Smith doesn't need your help, Chris.
Yeah.
So
he's fine.
It's just so
he's fine.
It's his colleagues talking to each other
on
Twitter. Like,
and it's like it's so obvious all the time. Like when things like this happen, where it's like, no, that's an obvious difference. It's a false equivalence. Like, and you're being disingenuous. You're presenting these as different things, and you know it. And now we have to waste our fucking time explaining why it's wrong.
Here's the thing: do they know that there's a difference?
They know it. Like
they
that's
have to know.
I think a lot of these.
Who is even the they?
I think a lot of these people.
Because I think some of them don't. I think they're just like, because they don't understand what a false equivalence is or a double standard or anything like that. It's the same people who are just like, well, why can't I say the N-word? Like
I think you
there are
understand
people who are
like,
genuinely like, I don't understand why I can't.
I don't know. I feel like
I think the people who are really spearheading these those things it is disingenuous. I think they know. But there are stupid people out there. Well, I just remember on Reddit I remember a Reddit thread where someone was explaining why All Lives Matter isn't the same as Black Lives Matter, and like it seems obvious. It seems really obvious, and they used like a dinner analogy of like. It was like a fairly simple analogy, like you didn't get as much as your siblings, and
that's actually
it's
actually Louis C.K. explaining it. And
is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, someone on Twitter just Reddit re-explained it, but it was that thing where I thought like people who were saying all lives matter, they were being disingenuous, but then this thread was filled with thousands of people like, I never realized it until now. Okay, it makes so much sense. And it was people understanding the Black Lives Matter thing. It was like, wow, so you really didn't understand what all lives matter was versus
interesting.
Like, so like, and it's this like
it's hard. It's hard.
I think there are people that don't, and I think those aren't the people with like the platforms and the voices.
Yeah,
like the people that have those followings do know. Because I think most of them are like hucksters and liars. Yeah. And like, shilling their brain pills and whatever.
And I shouldn't say that people who didn't understand are dumb. It's not that people are dumb. It's just that people are busy.
I think a lot of that comes from it's people generally just wanting to believe that things are equal and fair. Yeah. Like they just, and if
it's easier that way.
It's easier that way. If you're living in your life somehow in that way, yeah, a lot of the stuff sometimes is like, oh yeah, that doesn't make any sense. If things were all fair, but that's
right. And it's especially hard to tell on Twitter. Like I before Black Panther came out, I remember having I remember wasting my time talking to a person on Twitter about representation and like why this like movies is important to people, and like it was just a whole lot of back and forth, and it's like, well, like when I see a movie with a white guy, I don't care. It's like, yeah, because like literally every movie has white guys in it. You grew up in a culture where the default is that, so it doesn't mean much to you, and that's not true for other communities. And like it was like a whole back and forth, and it became clear to me, it's like, oh, you literally just like don't get it, and like it's not like a dishonesty thing, it's a perspective thing, and I think just sort of like stepping out of yourself and being able to really understand other perspectives without getting defensive, because also he's very defensive, because he's like, he's like a 20-year-old like
because nobody wants to feel like the bad guy,
and it's not
right, and it's
also, I think we frame it too much like that too, where like he thinks we're saying he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
It's like, no, man, you're not bad.
No,
it's like the fact that you're like saying what you're saying now kind of
does,
bad, but like your existence doesn't make you bad.
Yeah.
Right. The idea of white privilege isn't you're the bad guy. It's the fact that you can exist and not ever notice these things.
Right. And if you recognize
that's what it is.
That's like a switch that goes off, and now you can see like, oh wow, I'm excited for Black Panther. Like,
that's the same with the idea of just being ignorant. Like,
right.
Yes. Like it's that thing of the people think of that as like an insult, but like
ignorance isn't bad. It means you didn't.
You just
have
didn't.
It.
You didn't know, and hopefully someone told you. And
not everybody has all of the information.
Yeah,
we're very bad at changing our beliefs.
Yeah,
humans.
So, anyways, Kevin Smith had a gigantic heart attack.
And he's gonna be okay.
And he's apparently okay. Yeah. He looked fine in his photo.
I didn't see the photo. But I was like, all right.
Doing Guardians 3.
Apparently,
so,
he there's another Twitter conversation with James Gunn was him talking to Mark Hamill. Like somebody was like, hey,
"Oh, that's right."
Somebody's like, "Hey, James, you should put Mark Hamill in your movie," and then Mark Hamill was like. One of them said, "It's like, yeah, he's actually my neighbor. Like, maybe we should talk." And Mark Hamill's like, "Yeah, here's my
I mean, that's cool.
Twitter's dope.
DM me if you're serious." And James Gunn's like, "Yeah, man. I mean, your DMs aren't open." So like, okay, I'll make sure they're. And so it's like we got to see Mark Hamill probably be in Guardians 3.
Guardians 3. That's awesome.
That's great. Do that, good. Please.
Oh, I can't wait to hear whatever voice he chooses to do.
Ooh, you're right.
He's so good.
I had the
he's not being Luke Skywalker. He just has voices.
I had this is neither.
Can he be Luke Skywalker with Joker voice?
Can he be Luke Skywalker in anything forever? I had this thought the other day thinking about the last Star Wars movie. It's like, man, those movies are just like, because the last one, Force Awakens, spoilers. This movie's been out for 3 months. Last one's Force Awakens. Everybody knew Han was going to die, and this one, everybody pretty much knew Luke was going to die. Yeah. So it's like these are just like protracted public executions for beloved characters.
Oh, like, that's rough.
Because we're all just like going to the theater, being like, okay, it's time to kill Luke,
right? Yeah.
Like, and then next year, okay, it's time to kill Leia.
Like, back the main three, and then like we could finally move on.
Yeah, but it's just like,
Wait, isn't that better than just letting the characters kind of like peter away in existence?
I would prefer had to have not seen them.
Yeah,
I would have preferred them to live on forever in my mind.
We've talked about this before.
Having adventures.
I actually wish the new Star Wars were actually like Harry Potter movies, where there was this dark thing, this dark lord, and all of that. And like I like the idea of it happening like 100 years later. And everything's done, and then I mean I know Harry Potter doesn't happen 100 years later from the Voldemort stuff, and I know we're not supposed to say his name. Sorry, that like, but like
he who must not be named.
I know.
But like,
what are the rules? Does he show? It's like Rumpelstiltskin. Does he show
like,
up
in the last book? Kind of
like Beetlejuice.
It was like it would have been like a world where everything's good now. And then, like, this dark presence starts coming back.
Right.
Like, I think that would have been
It seemed like they were trying to do both because, like, they
as
have
like to, like it's all the same.
It's like 20 years later, and for some reason, Rey doesn't remember what Jedi are. It's like, oh, you mean the most famous fucking things in the world?
Yeah. You mean the guy who saved the galaxy
right.
with his magic?
I bet that was pitched, and there's just too many people who were like, no, we need to have all the old people.
Yeah, we didn't have the old people in to sell tickets.
And also, I think, there was an element of, like, well, people hated the prequels. Now it was trying to be a little different, which I applaud it for, actually.
Yeah, at least he tried something new.
Then I think they were just like, well, we need to remind people that this is Star Wars, so it needs to be literally just Star Wars. It's like they're in conflict. There's the Empire and the Rebellion, and they have different names.
Yeah,
and that's it. And we have like the farm boy, but it's a girl now, and that's the story. Because like even literally like the first line of the movie is this will begin to set things right. This will begin to make things right is the first line of Force Awakens. Oh, and like it's literally the filmmakers saying like, hey fans, like we're gonna fix it. Don't worry, Star Wars is back. And it's the same as ever.
It's back, baby! All your favorite old characters are dead!
Yeah. But yeah, I would have liked that, and then you assume like, okay, they had adventures and they died because it's 100 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I would have also liked if they, because I feel like I know we were supposed to talk about Star Wars today.
That's fine.
But there's by the third one, like I'm actually excited about JJ's third Star Wars because I think that they finally arrived at like what they want it to be. Because the first one was okay. Here's like everything you expect, and then the second one was like, fucking never mind. We're gonna kill them all, and nothing matters. And I feel like that's what they wanted to get to, of just like, here's the world, like a fresh, clean slate, here are the new characters, we're going to kill everybody off, and now they're finally there, especially because, like, Leia's also dead now. So, like...
But, like, in real...
Right. But I feel like what they should have done is just, like, the first movie is what we have already seen compressed. So, like, by the end of A Force Awakens, everyone is dead that we love, and they're just, like, they rip it off with a Band-Aid. Hey, it's an adventure, first act. Oh no, things are kind of dark in the second act. Oh no, everyone's dead in the third act. Now we can move forward.
I think that would have bummed out way too many people.
That's true.
That would have been hard. That would have been real hard, real quick. Because I liked Force Awakens.
I like Force Awakens more than The Last Jedi, I think.
I came into Star Wars late.
They're both bad movies.
I know. I was like, I came into Star Wars really late, so I never really related to the OG version. So the new ones, I was like, oh, it's the story that I like, but it's updated,
it's the fresh,
like storytelling that I like as well, so that's fine.
Yeah. So,
hype for The Last Jedi to come out.
So hype.
Well, while we're talking about, I do want to talk about this video I put in. The VFX breakdown of Snoke from The Last Jedi.
So we're on topic.
Funny. Yeah, we are.
Very on topic. You're welcome.
We
are incredibly on topic.
If anybody can look this up, it's just type in like VFX breakdown Snoke. What's funny about it is it just seems like a parody of CGI to me now. Because it's showing the motion capture to make Andy Serkis play Snoke. And they show him on set with the dots all over his face. And he's speaking, and then it does this cut wipe to Snoke with a totally different expression doing the lines. And it's like, okay, so you didn't need him there. And then they show the on-set test. And they have a guy there for lighting reference who just looks like Snoke.
Right.
And he's just on set, and it's like, okay, there's an old man who looks like Snoke. And then they go back to showing, like, Andy Serkis on set, and so now he's on the set. He has, like, prosthetic Snoke hands. And then they do, like, the full finished wipe where you realize that Snoke is just a slightly taller person.
Yeah.
There was
Snoke is there.
Yeah, there's no reason to have motion capture for Snoke.
This is a video you pitched.
Yeah, I
pitched this video.
A spoof of motion capture for Cracked, which was the idea of like a guy doing motion capture to play like a slightly smaller or taller guy. Where it's like, well, just get that guy. And that's literally what Snoke is that when we see him in Force Awakens, he's like a giant, so it's like, oh, okay, he's probably like some crazy giant creature. Bless you.
Or
but
a really
then
tiny
the realization that Snoke is just
a regular sized dude. Yeah,
it's just like, well, just hire a guy,
right? Just a regular dude with a guy who looks like him, doing the shots.
Yeah, you could make makeup look like a sunken face. People do that.
Or you could CGI just that part of the face.
I mean, they put the Emperor in a bunch of shit.
You don't need to hire Andy
put a bunch of shit on his face.
Nothing to the role.
He looks 30 years younger and older.
He just does like a creepy voice, but it's not a unique voice. Anybody can do the voice of Snoke.
Oh yeah, it's a very boring voice.
Yes. Yeah. Why did they do
it's
that?
It's not like Gollum.
Or just like put it like he's fine at being characters that aren't digitized.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he was just in Black Panther.
He's great in Black Panther.
Yeah. Like they contractually had to use a certain amount of CGI for whatever. I
think
gotta make sure you
versus like puppetry, like maybe like the people who did like real life stuff, because you had Yoda in there.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, okay, Yoda, we have an agreement.
Yoda looked bad. That puppet looks worse every time they drag it out.
That's weirdly true. Why did he look so bad?
He looks terrible.
Like, what if there was an agreement where it's like, okay, we have to make sure the puppet people and the CGI people, like,
they all get work.
They all get work. We need a certain amount of hours from both of them. Clearly, they didn't give the puppet people enough hours, and they gave the CGI people too much hours.
Right, they had too many people on set for the...
Like, Yoda looked fucking real in episode 3. And then they're like, well, let's go back to the puppet. Because people like puppets. Like, when... You figured it out with this. Like the CGI looks good.
But also,
he
looks pretty real in episode 5. He looks good in Empire.
He looks pretty good in Empire.
I'm fine with the Empire version, but it does weirdly look worse than the Empire version.
It's not the same puppet. It's like the episode 1 puppet, which looked bad.
Yeah,
that puppet looked very bad. He was supposed to be a younger Yoda, and he looked like shit.
It's a bummer that because the J.J. Abrams the Force Awakens, I like the idea of bringing animatronics in. Like they did it for like that big fucking walking thing in Force Awakens and stuff.
Yeah, the marketplace.
The point is to do it
as Simon Pegg guy
with the technology of today. Like do it better.
Don't make a shitty puppet.
Yeah,
like Disney has always done animatronics. They don't replace things with like video of CGI. But the animatronics technology has gotten so good that it's getting better and better. Like,
use that.
Yeah, use that.
Don't
make a shitty Yoda puppet like, it's a throwback.
Maybe it was the backup puppet. Maybe someone lost the good puppet.
Well, I just heard that they literally digged up the old puppet like in the studio. And
that's not the same puppet.
Because they were like, we want to make it like the old one.
That is not the same puppet.
They based it off of the old puppet.
It's not. Yeah, it's not the same puppet. It's like from the same mold.
Well, they did it wrong.
They did it.
They messed something.
Also,
up.
like this is so weird. Like that they even needed to go and like we need to dig the old puppet up to make it look like the old puppet. Watch the movie and then make a puppet. It's 2017 when the movie's
but when this conversation takes place. Why do we need to unearth an old prop to know what Yoda looks like? Right? You mean that very famous character from Star Wars?
Buy a toy. Add some
all
dirt.
the toys. All the toys have it down.
Make it blue.
Toys nail it.
Oh.
So Amazon's doing a Dark Tower series.
I feel nothing.
Yeah. I'm just now reading through the books.
Well, I mean, I thought they were gonna. I heard this news a while ago.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't happening. And then they made the movie, which I also haven't seen.
I was gonna say, is this a remake of the movie?
No, it's hard to explain if you're not familiar with the books. But basically, they made the movie, which was kind of like a weird sequel to the books.
Okay, that's the Idris Elba.
It's the Idris Elba, yeah, and he was supposed to be at one stage was supposed to be involved with this TV show.
Oh, okay.
As well as the little kid from the movie and the writer and director. It's unclear now whether any of those people are going to be involved because the show is based on the 4th book in the series, Wizard and Glass, which is sort of a prequel. It's like it tells the story of Roland as a young man with his...
What a stupid bunch of fucking people making stuff.
Yeah.
Why would you make a sequel and then a prequel of a thing that like no one has seen?
I don't know.
What are you doing?
I don't know.
Make the thing and then do those.
It's hard. Like having
that's
read.
So. Oh,
it's weird. Having read, I'm reading through the series now. I'm on Wizard and Glass, which is actually really good, and I'm excited.
I'm
to
sure
see
it's great.
I'm excited to see the show.
You've read the other 3
because it kind of like stands alone. But like, I also understand like. Making a movie that's like a straight adaptation of the book would probably be bad.
But would it be bad if it was a TV show with a lot of money behind it? Right? Like,
I don't know. Probably not.
Because that's like when I hear they're making a TV show about this. Okay, do that. No, never mind. They're gonna make a movie. All right, I guess that's gonna be bad. Oh, it's like technically a sequel. Well, then that's stupid. Who's gonna see that movie? And then they're doing a TV show, but of the prequel, but like. From the get-go, say, we want to do the Dark Tower. Everyone loves the Dark Tower. It's a series of books. Let's do a show of all of it. And do that. And then it would be good.
The logical way where they're like, we're adapting these series of books that everybody likes. Okay, chapter 1. Like, let's start, let's start where
so book 4.
Yeah. It's just
so book 4 is...
Book 4, but also takes place before it. So, let's start there. Yeah. No, do...
Well, I mean, if you're going to start, I guess, starting with a prequel, that technically is the beginning.
Technically, but, traditionally, from what I understand with prequels, is that you watch the original one first because the prequel is going to enhance that experience.
Right, yeah. Because there's a lot of references to things that happen when Roland's a young guy.
Right, you watch a prequel and you're like, oh wow, that's how they got there.
Right,
like
yeah.
their aha moments.
Now it all makes
enhances
sense.
your experience of watching the original. You don't watch it in a row.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he keeps talking about these people. Now I get to see these people, but you just
like
start
the best experience of watching Star Wars isn't starting with the prequels and going forward.
No, that's bad.
It's also not the reverse. I just don't watch prequels. But like ideally,
That's
you
a bad
watch
way
the
to do
original
it.
trilogy and then watch
And
the
then you
prequels
watch
and
the
go,
original.
oh wow, Han is a child. And he's going pew pew, and it's not what happens in the movie, but might as well have been.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm so mad. So I haven't even read the books.
Tom,
I don't give a shit.
You're saying that the books are just really hard to adapt? Is that it?
It's because definitely the first book, The Gunslinger, which was
Someone should try though, right?
Try. Don't whatever.
like it was published as a series of like short stories in magazines. Like he published like 4 stories in magazines over a couple of years and then collected them together as The Gunslinger. It's kind of boring and it doesn't make a lot of sense. And he hasn't gone back. Like I respect him for this because as many updated editions and stuff, like he's gone back to their previous books to like correct continuity errors, but he hasn't corrected anything else. And he started writing this when he was a very young man. So like you go back and read the first couple of books in the Dark Tower, you're like, this is rough.
The first few books aren't that great.
Yeah,
it's like, Wizard of Glass kind of when it starts to get like, oh, now you're writing
like
a book.
when you the immediate the third book is called The Wastelands, which is pretty good, and they actually took some of the stuff from The Wastelands and put it into the movie. When you go from the third book to the fourth book, it's like because there's like 10 or 15 years in between each. Like he took a long time to write these books.
Yeah.
The immediate increase in quality between The Wastelands and Wizard of Glass is like, oh shit. Like you start.
You became a writer,
right? You start reading Wizard of Glass, like, oh, you're Stephen King now. Okay.
Okay, so I accept that truth about the books. Would it be possible though to just be like, all right, here's
you could do it.
The show, and we're gonna do. You
could do it.
The show,
and
the first episode is like the Gunslinger, and you make it better, and it's short because apparently they can do the whole fucking movie. Like
that was baffling.
But like
to make a movie version of like a beloved series of novels that took several decades to write and it is 7 books long and it's a 90-minute film.
Right. So if you're if you're already doing that and you're already committed to like, all right, well, we're going to condense this into an hour and a half instead of the opposite of The Hobbit. Right. So you do the first episode is just the Gunslinger, like jam packed, and you make it better, and then the second episode is the second book, and then like once it gets good, then like now we're gonna take our time.
Yeah,
and
like
really do it.
Like I'm thinking about it. Like if you did the Gunslinger is like 2 or 3 pretty solid episodes.
Yeah, and then like by the end of the first season, you get to like, oh, now we've picked up to like this is the show of the 4th one or whatever.
See, that makes me just go, I'm like, oh, then just go ahead and start with the prequel. Like just start from there. Tell the story from there, and then go into Gunslinger afterward. Like, just go in order.
Yeah. Do you think like in order is like chronological order is the best way to?
I don't know because it's neat to read it in the order that it's written in because it's like like you said, like you watch the prequels after you've watched the original trilogy because like there's a lot of references to it and like. For the first 3 books, so much of what like happens to Roland is like a mystery.
Yeah.
And then you go back and the 4th book comes along and it's like the story of his first mission as a gunslinger. It's like, oh, okay, now I actually get to see him and his friends that he constantly talks about who are now dead go on this mission and be like cool and it's like watching the Jedi in their prime in the prequels.
Yeah, and so the mystery aspect you get like slower reveals and like suspense
either. But then I've heard people say that like when they're rereading the series, like fans of the series, will skip the 4th book because it's not. It doesn't really advance the story because it's like
it's just a fun adventure,
right?
Yeah,
it's like start from the fun adventure, then go into the story, and then keep going. And it seems like it would be.
I see that too. Yeah,
like especially if those first few weren't good, then that makes more sense to be like start where it's good.
Yeah, pretty
Start
slow.
where it's good. Yeah. Go on. We'll make the stuff that's bad better because it's TV, new medium. Right. We'll figure this out, and then keep going.
I will say, having seen the movie first makes the book a little bit of an easier read because what he's intentionally vague about in the stories is already clear in my mind, and that which is Roland's world is a parallel world to Earth.
Right.
That's post-apocalypse.
Okay.
So there's like, he's living, hundreds, probably thousands of years after society has fallen, but it's a society that's identical to ours. So he'll see things that, like, there's a Citgo station.
Okay.
And like he'll see things or reference things that, having seen the movie, which they make clear in the movie that that's the case, like it now makes sense to me, so it wouldn't be as
I didn't actually know
frustrating to read.
Yeah,
maybe because I zoned out during the movie. I didn't know it was a post-apocalypse 1,000 years, because there's that part.
They don't make it super clear in the movie.
Yeah, there's that part where they're in like a forest and it's like a circus. It's
an amusement park. Yeah.
Amusement park doing in this forest, but that makes more sense.
Yeah, and the kid's like, "Oh, this is an amusement park." And Roland's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. This is just some old bullshit that the elder people left, or the whatever they call them." Like, he doesn't understand what a lot of technology. So he'll come across something that's like very obviously like a water fountain, and he doesn't know what it is. He just knows, it brings water up from the earth, and the kid's like, "No, that's a water fountain."
Fine, I'll watch the movie.
It's fine. It has good performances in it. It's disappointing because it's so narrow,
right?
And it's
even somebody, like, I saw it when I hadn't read a word of the book, so I was just like, this seems oddly small for a
When we saw it, we walked in, and it was just like, I like it, but it was like, that's not.
There could have been more.
That's not
like,
how. And it's just like, yeah, it was all right. Like I'd watch it on TV at some point. Like, it wasn't bad. It just like for the Dark Tower movie
to be a 90-minute PG-13 affair,
right? The introduction to like this epic series that everybody loves.
It's this very, very small movie.
Yeah.
Which was
remake it in like 5 years.
Yeah, it was clearly a case of, like, I mean, the budget got cut halfway. It was clearly a case of the studio being very nervous about anyone going to see the movie.
So we're going way over, I think, at this point.
All right. Well, what else do we have to talk about?
We have the
Joss Whedon quit Batgirl.
Yeah, don't commit to doing movies if you don't know what movie you're gonna write.
And it took him 10 months to realize he didn't have a story.
That's too long.
He went into that like, I could do Batgirl, and then
I think
he probably went into it thinking he's going to do Buffy.
Yeah,
like, I'll make Batgirl Buffy. People like that.
Do we think that that's a case of him being in the machine because he came out of the Marvel machine and is famously unhappy with the Marvel machine.
Yeah.
So is that a case of him being in it for a couple of months and being like, I don't want to make a movie with these people, or is it a case of, with the Me Too stuff coming, and like he doesn't, I don't think he's harassed people, but he definitely has infidelity on his record.
Yeah. Both? I want to say both.
And he's not as progressive.
He's not super progressive, and it's like, and there's, understandable fan, after Wonder Woman came out, it's like, why not let a woman direct this movie? Like, I'm sure this would be better from a woman's perspective.
Write it.
Or at least write it.
Like, the one thing I keep saying is like, you should get a woman to direct this. But if the words aren't coming from an honest place and a woman's perspective, then it's still like cheap. It's still not.
Yeah.
It's obviously like both, but like, if you don't have a woman writing this female character, then that's why you don't have a story. Because like, you don't have that perspective.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if it is legitimately like he couldn't come up with a story, which I think sounds like crap. Like, how many years of Batgirl comics are there?
Right.
And like,
that's true, and he's a good storyteller, and he knows what he's doing,
and he's written stories that center around female characters, so it's not like it's a new challenge for him.
He wrote something, showed it to whoever, and they were like, yeah, no.
This isn't what we want.
Yeah, not what we want, or it's just not. Because, again, like, the society's caught up to his level of progressiveness where he's not really progressive anymore.
Right.
So it's like,
we're beyond what he's capable of.
Yeah, and so, like, if he probably wrote something along those lines where you're just like, oh, like, I see what you're doing. This would have been great back in the day, but we could... You don't need to do this anymore. You could do better.
Going back and watching,
I did Buffy, and that's what I know. And
going back and watching Firefly is kind of rough.
Really?
I still really like it, but Mal's real shitty to Inara. Like, he calls her whore all the time, and I know it's like we're supposed to be mad at him when he does that, but it's like, fucking cool it, man.
Yeah, because he's still your hero. You still like Mal.
You still like Mal.
It's still played for fun, and you're still like rooting for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, Batgirl.
Yeah, I think it's probably a combination. I think you're right that like he's beyond, like we're beyond where what he's capable of doing in terms of like,
especially if that Wonder Woman script was what that, like if he actually wrote that.
There was a lot of fingers. I mean, Zack Snyder has a writing credit on it too. There's a lot of fingers in that pie.
It could also, it could have just been that he was like, "Here's my script," and they're like, "Oh, this is all right. Can you make it like disjointed and depressing?" Right. DC, and that's what.
That could be that too.
And he was like, "All right, I don't have a story for you."
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, they might have wanted. They might want to do like the Killing Joke or something for the Batgirl movie, and it's just like, no, please don't.
That's the one you do.
That's a not a good story.
It's not.
It's not canon. The only thing that's cool about it is the Joker and his Panama Jack hat. That's the only cool thing.
Can you see Jared Leto doing that though? Like they would do that. Like that's the thing. They
I don't want to see him vaping in a Panama Jack hat. I just want to see him. I just want to see him in his Panama Jack hat.
Did you see the Killing Joke cartoon?
No.
It is.
I've heard it's
bad. It is real bad. I've seen
bad.
bits, like clips of it, because I'm like, I can't watch this whole thing. I don't like the story. I'm not gonna like.
Because even the Killing Joke, like as itself, is not good. It's not great.
There are two moments that I like in it. It's the Panama Jack hat. It's the fact that at the very end of the comic, Batman actually laughs at his joke.
Yeah,
and I think that's like a fun moment.
There's some cool moments, but in general, but they added stuff for the.
Yes,
for the
they did, and it's
and
bad.
The stuff they added was just that she's sad that she can't fuck Batman.
She does fuck Batman,
but then she's sad that like he doesn't want to fuck her anymore. It's just like the whole extra story.
It's
is
we didn't need.
I just got a crush on Batman.
It's so bad.
It's not. Who wrote that? What sad dude wrote that?
So
what fucking idiot wrote that shit? And it doesn't even preserve like the one. That's out of the two moments. The main thing that the Killing Joke is memorable for is its art style, and that's what Tim Burton based the look of his movies on, was the art style for the Killing Joke, and they don't do that art style in the movie.
They do Bruce Timm's,
which is
animated,
dumb. If you're gonna do
also, that's just like I love Bruce Timm's like art design and work. And
I don't want to see it with.
I don't want to see it with the Killing Joke.
Yeah, I don't want to see it with Batgirl fucking Batman.
No,
like, oh no, I don't want my Bruce Timm artwork to be doing that shit. Dave, do you have a movie that deserves more hype? You do.
This is our only segment, our ending segment. It's called Paradox. I don't know much about it. I'm not actually a fan of any, or of most of the people in this. I don't hate them, but it's a Western, directed by Daryl Hannah, that's cool, starring Neil Young and Willie Nelson. And Willie Nelson's kids. And it's like going to festivals right now. And the description sounds like they're all high. Like they're all just getting high. The description, the synopsis. Yeah, it's premiering at South by Southwest in March, which is this month, probably, when people are listening to this.
Great.
The synopsis is: time is fluid in this far-fetched, whimsical Western tale of music and love. Like right away, when your synopsis starts with "time is fluid," it's like, huh.
Also, like when you admit, like this is pretty far-fetched.
Yeah. Somewhere in the future past, the man in the black hat rides out between heists at an old stagecoach stop with jail time, the Particle Kid, and an odd band of outlaws.
They are Particle Kid?
They are high. It's just Willie Nelson.
This is the highest movie.
The Particle Kid is an awesome name.
That is an awesome name, yeah. Fucking Particle Kid.
It feels like
Willie Nelson's
their version of Westworld. They just want to make a Westworld space.
I mean, already.
Check it out. I'm looking at the link that Dave put in the doc here. Willie Nelson's son on the far right looks like fucking Judd Nelson.
Oh my god!
He
Yeah.
looks exactly like Judd Nelson.
Yes. Wow. It's Hal Sparks a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit like Hal Sparks.
Oh yeah, the description's not over. There's more.
More Adventures of the Particle Kid.
Wait, where is that?
After an odd band of outlaws?
Read it.
So yeah. So after the man in the black hat hides out between heists at an old stagecoach stop with jail time, the Particle Kid, and an odd band of outlaws, mining the detritus of past civilizations, they wait for the Silver Eagle, for the women folk, and for the full moon's magic to give rise to the music and make the spirits fly.
Oh my god!
Mm.
I want to go to Joshua Tree and watch this movie.
And watch this film. Yeah. I think that's the way to watch it.
So I can't really say
I don't get it.
Yeah, I can't really say this is going to be a good movie. I just want to know what's going on here.
I definitely want to watch it.
Yeah, I want to watch this. Because it's basically the Nelson family and the Neil Young family coming together to make a Western.
To make a time-traveling Western.
Yeah, so...
The Man in the Black Hat and the Particle Kid.
How can that be bad?
That sounds pretty great.
Yeah.
I actually super want to watch this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd watch this.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Shall get high and watch it.
Yeah, I feel like that's
what they would intend.
I want to know that pitch meeting.
I don't think there was a meeting.
I think they were just getting high, and
I think they
were high and have money.
Yeah, I think they just hit the ground with that Daryl Hannah money, with that Neil Young money.
And I don't think it's premiering at South by Southwest. I think it's just because they paid to have it premiere there. Like, it's not a submission or anything like that.
It's South by Southwest. And it's like, hey, Daryl Hannah made a movie starring Neil Young and Willie Nelson. They'll be like, yeah, we'll screen that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
I'd hold a screening at my apartment.
Yeah.
If they asked.
Gotta find out what happens to the Particle Kid.
Gotta know. Even though time is fluid. In the future past. Jesus Christ.
The only picture on the South by Southwest website is Neil Young playing a guitar in a field. So that's what we can expect.
Okay.
I mean, that looks pretty sweet.
Far-fetched.
Yeah.
That is a nice looking shot.
Looks pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
His gigantic guitar.
I will say Paradox is a bad title for that movie.
Yeah. As soon as there's a Paradox, I'm like, ooh, space?
Yeah.
And then it was like, wait, Western?
Right, yeah. If
it's
you're
a time Western.
Right, it's a time Western. So if you're focusing on the time aspect, then it makes sense, but not for so much the Western aspect.
Yeah, I guess it just needs a little more. Like, Paradox is so simple. And then they're like, oh yeah, Daryl Hannah and Willie Nelson, like, time is fluid, magic. You gotta wait for the moon's magic. That's not what I get from Paradox.
None of that information is coming across with Paradox. So we super have to watch that movie.
Yes.
Yeah, agreed.
I assume the next we'll hear of it is it'll just be on Amazon or Netflix.
Yeah, and then we'll all get together,
probably
here, and watch it.
Watch it.
Do some peyote and watch it.
Take some mescaline.
Yeah.
And watch Paradox.
That'll be great. That'll be great.
Well, all right. I think that's our episode.
I think so too. Thanks everybody for watching. You got a star. Where can we find you?
What do you got to plug?
You could read my webcomic, rubywhipple.com, Ruby with an I, and follow me on Twitter at StarlineX, pronounced Starline.
Thank you. Cody, I understand you have some sort of a Patreon?
I've got one of those Patreons for a news show that I will be starting to make again in the very near future. So patreon.com/Cody Johnston is what my name is and what the page is. I would appreciate your patronage and
your patronage.
Your patronage. And on Twitter, I'm Dr. Mr. Cody, DrMisterCody.
Excellent.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Everybody. Thanks, guys. We're gonna stop recording now.
Thank you.
Yeah. Our music is produced by Chris Corlew. You can follow him on Twitter at @thecorlew, Corlew, and find more music at shipwreckedsailor.bandcamp.com. Our artwork is produced by Justin Brown. You can follow him on Twitter at @JustinTBrown, and find more of his artwork at artnessbyjustinbrown.com and justinbrown.info. Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.